We like to reach out to the public at this time, Dubs. We like to see what the public thinks about things. And the question asked today at SportsGrid on Twitter follows: should MLB institute a 6-inning requirement for starting pitchers? Before I get to the poll results, who are quite lopsided, and quite frankly, I do agree with that, Rob Manfred has changed Major League Baseball quite a bit. Most people, Dubs, hate commissioners no matter what they do. This is the worst guy ever. I wish somebody would run the league. But for me, I've actually loved what Rob Manfred has done to Major League Baseball. The pitch, I'm telling you right now, for people out there that just don't understand some of the changes in the magnitude, just starting with the pitch clock, do me a favor right now. Go back a couple years and try to watch a Major League Baseball game without the pitch clock. You can't do it. You'd say, this is insanity. Nothing is happening here. Pitchers are walking around the mound. It's minutes between pitches. The pitch clock has been awesome. The DH coming to the National League, absolutely fantastic. No longer, Dubs, am I looking at lineups going like, you know what? I need to hit this team total over. Oh, no, the pitcher's coming up with 2 outs and bases loaded. How crazy was that rule where pitchers were batting? That was fantastic. The ghost runner on base in extra innings, so we don't have to wait 19 innings for a game to finish here, I think was great to save the pitcher's arms. The shift, who I couldn't stand. Oh, just hit the baseball the other way. Do you understand a 99-mile-an-hour fastball, how easy it is to hit it the opposite way, or say hit it where they ain't? I love those changes. But this question that we asked, Dubs, is kind of wild. So before we reveal the results, let me ask you, how do you feel about a 6-inning requirement for starting pitchers here in Major League Baseball?
Donnie, if I'm paying $12 to go watch the Angels play down there at Anaheim, I want to see the starting pitchers out there for 6 innings. Yes. I like the rule changes that we saw coming in for this season, shorter games. And yes, I do agree that the starting pitchers to stay out there for a minimum of 6 innings pitched, I think it's fantastic. And obviously it shapes up the dynamics in baseball, but it cannot be overnight, Donnie. This is something that could take a few years to get underway.
It's crazy because the thought process behind it makes a lot of sense. Like, they're not just doing this to upset the old-time baseball guys, but theoretically, even as a handicapper, how many times do you find yourself going like, never really heard of this guy? Oh, that's right, he pitches 1 inning. Or why is this guy pitching only 2 innings at this point? Now, granted, there are escape hatches here, right? So Major League Baseball is not going to tell you, hey, look, it's the 3rd inning. This guy's arm's going to fall off. Don't care. He better pitch 6 innings. There is an out clause if you are injured, but you can't skirt that issue because the rule is if you leave that game due to injury, you have to go on the IL. So you can't just fake an injury. See, in 5 days, I'll be the starting pitcher. Also, if your pitcher gives up more than 4 earned runs, he can exit throughout the process. The design also, which, one of the valued rules that they put in too, Dubs, was, do you remember? And again, this all goes through with pace of play in the game and what people want to watch. More action is better. Major League Baseball managers on a pitcher-to-pitcher-to-pitcher basis just bring in a new pitcher for a lefty-righty matchup. The next batter, bring in a new pitcher. It really slowed the game down. So at least now relief pitchers have to pitch to 3 batters minimum here before they can be taken out of the game. I don't know how, and again, Rob Manfred stated this as well, Dubs. It's not going to be overnight, as you said. Like, this is going to take some time. We're going to test it up to see if it makes some sense. But theoretically, it would be better for the game of baseball if the starting pitchers were going a full 6 innings, because also from me, I like to say, you know what? I got 6 innings out of this guy. I know my batter is going to get at least 3 attempts off of this guy in a game. For the good of the game, I think it makes some sense, but I think it's so radical that I'm not so sure the public is picking up on it right away. Because if we do look at the results right now, Dubs, 84.2% said absolutely not, Dubs. What do you think about that?
Yeah, the public say, hey, let's leave it untouched. That's the great thing. That's the great thing about baseball, Donnie. It's so traditional. A lot of the rules still in place, and that's what makes the game fantastic. But I would argue that, some of the starting pitchers have sort of lost that, I guess you wouldn't say prestige, but that aura around making their way out to the diamond. So it could put a bit more emphasis on really having a true ace in your ball club. So I think it's fantastic if we actually get to that. And yes, they're going to be limited to 100 pitches. We're always worried about the player's safety and welfare on that side of things. But I think this would be a fantastic addition to the rules. And this is, I would say, Donnie, probably the most traditional sport that we get here in the mainstream. So I think it'd be a fantastic ad. Obviously, I'm not seeing it the same. The public, a whopping 84% in saying no. We don't want to see a starting pitcher staying out there for a minimum of 6 innings pitched. Come on now.
Oh, let's see, Dubs, I like your style, man. I knew there's a reason why you're going to come back here and do some shows here and have some fun with us, because I do think you're right. Even the particular way you voted, it should obviously just say from Major League Baseball, we just don't like the opener rule. Nobody likes the opener rule. And just a few short years ago, forget about even like the FanDuel Sportsbook, all sports books. How many times did you place a wager in the afternoon and they get updated late that an opener was going to come in, so the odds would have to change and your bet would be null and void? After a while, baseball, and specifically with the FanDuel Sportsbook, like, you know what? It doesn't matter who the starting pitcher is. That bet is going to be valid no matter who goes out there, because the openers, again, theoretically, changing up the game of baseball. Hey, this guy's going to come out for 1 inning, and then the starter is going to come in inning number 2. I like where Major League Baseball is going at this point, but sometimes it's hard. People don't like change, Dubs, right? And there are people out there still who will tell you they don't like the pitch clock. I have no idea why they don't like that. They don't like the National League getting the DH so they can match up against the American League. Who wouldn't like that at this point here? And I can see some of the arguments, and the reason why they took the ghost runner out in the playoffs is you're trying to get more of a natural baseball feel. But you can't say you don't like it in the regular season. Be honest, Dubs. Hey, it's fun as a 6th grader, right? This game went into the 18th inning, and I'm going to watch it here. Nobody wants to watch a game into the 8th inning. And also, you blow up your entire bullpen for the next week and a half if you have an 18-inning ball game going through your entire pitchers. That's the reason why I was brought in. So for my money, I love Rob Manfred, but let's just say the 6th inning requirement. Do you see this as a viable option? Let's just give you 3 years here. Are we seeing this as a rule in Major League Baseball?
I don't think it will. I think the public is spot on. There'll be too many resistors to that change, and they'll say ultimately no. It would take too much of a lot of these young pitchers in trying to develop. But let's see, maybe run it through AAA before we can bring it up to the majors. But I would say unlikely it would happen, Donnie. I'd like to see it. We're not really changing the game of baseball. We're just modernizing it, same way as the pitch clock, trying to speed this thing up. That is not a bad problem to have there. I want to see the starting pitchers just get a bit more weight on that Paul clock. I would make the argument Paul Skeens would have no issues staying out there for 6 inning pitches. So if your team hasn't got a Paul Skeens, go and find one.
There you go. It's the options. Again, 84% right now to the no. We'll see where this poll winds up throughout the day, but a couple hundred votes already on the board. Other people with the SportsGrid network here chiming in. Joe Madden says she doesn't like it. AJ Freeze, if anything, it would be 5 innings and still a no. Dubs, the people out here don't like changes. I think we're being very progressive right now, trying to make baseball a much better product. Rob Manfred has done that. We'll see if this gets instituted, but it's an interesting product nonetheless. Imagine that. Starting pitchers absolutely have to go 6 innings in a Major League Baseball game. What a novel concept at that point. More Major League Baseball talk here in hour number 3 coming up next.
Welcome back into the early line. That's Donnie Rightside. I'm Dubs Anderson, getting you set for the Friday action out on the diamond. 14 games in play for today's slate, Donnie. Let's start with the Dodgers squaring off against the Cardinals. 31-27 at home. The Dodgers booked as your favorites here, minus 135 at the FanDuel Sportsbook, minus 134. Yet to see who's starting for the Dodgers. Miles Mikolas will get out there on the hill for the Cardinals.
Yeah, taking a look at this game, too, you always see those price points, and you say to yourself, ooh, I can get the Dodgers at a minus 150 price or less. Why don't I just load up? And it's not really a bad philosophy, because on a day-to-day basis, they're usually the more talented team. But it looks like Robleski is going to get that start, a guy that doesn't have a lot of Major League Baseball experience, Dubs. You take a look at 82 batters he's faced on the season. His numbers aren't great over those 82 batters. An ISO power number of 233 against and a 334 weighted on base percentage. However, his last 39 batters, Dubs, he's faced over the past 30 days, it gets much better. An ISO power number of 057 and a weighted on base percentage of 238. Very manageable here for him. And he's a left-handed pitcher. Typically, teams don't hit lefties as well as they do righties. However, the St. Louis Cardinals coming into this game, and by the way, 84-degree temperatures tonight in the stadium in St. Louis, slight wind blowing out the right field does help. The first 5 batters we anticipate, that's Wynn, Contreras, Pham, Arenado, and Goldschmidt, all high ISO power numbers and weighted on base percentages against left-handed pitching. But let's flip it over to the Dodgers' perspective. Miles Mikolas, needs to be better this year. Hasn't been. 555 batters, Dubs. He's faced a 195 ISO power number and a weighted on base percentage of 343. His past 30 days, left-handed batters have gotten the best of him to the tune of a 225 ISO and a weighted on base percentage of 344. If you look at the first 5 batters in that Dodgers lineup, Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Hernandez, and Lux, they have all hammered right-handed pitching. So for me, I still give the lean towards the Los Angeles Dodgers. But if I'm betting for some plus money for some RBI opportunities, Ohtani, Freeman, and Lux would be the guys, Dubs, I look forward to today. Should be a good battle. I think the Dodgers win, but a better look at some of those Dodgers RBI props.
Yeah, not a bad number there. Minus 134 for your road favorites. The Dodgers taking on the Cards. Let's take it out to the Tropicana field. The Tampa Bay Rays playing host to the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks been playing some fantastic baseball. Rattled off 5 of the last 5 there. They're booked. Well, it's close to a pick 'em here with a low total set for this one, Donnie, at 8 over at the FanDuel Sportsbook. Green Nelson gets the start there for the Diamondbacks with a 4.51 ERA. What do we expect for the Rays looking to roll at home?
Boy, Dubs, isn't it hard to go against the Diamondbacks? Sometimes you do have to ride out streaks and give those teams the benefit of the doubt. There are no freebies in Major League Baseball or in sports handicapping, but sometimes you take a look at price points and go, that looks a little bit off. Yes, the Diamondbacks are on the road. It's not the greatest environment to play. The Tampa Bay Rays in that dome. And Pepio's coming back to the mound here for those Rays. He actually had a pretty good start to the season. 352 batters he's faced, a low ISO and a low weighted on base percentage against them. We'll see how he does. But when you just look at that Diamondbacks lineup, like I always use, Dubs, like weighted on base percentage and ISO power numbers to tell me what's going on. And particularly, I like to focus on the last 30 days. How hot have those batters been? Outside of Blaze Alexander, who's only had 5 at-bats in the past 30 days against right-handed pitching, if you remove him from the equation, all 8 of the other batters, monster high ISO power numbers, monster high weighted on base percentages here. They should be able to hit. And the question is, can Tampa Bay keep up? It's not a great offense. You look at Ryan Nelson, one of those pitchers coming into the season, you're probably feeling like, you know what? You can fade this guy on a day-to-day basis. Not the case anymore. Dubs, his last 121 batters he's faced over the past 30 days, an ISO power number of 118 and a weighted on base percentage of 273 against. That's spectacular. And conversely, we just saw the Diamondbacks lineup and how potent it looks. It's the opposite for the Rays. You have Brandon Lau and Josh Lowe in the lineup. Ridiculous. The only 2 batters that are above average on ISO and weighted on base percentages. Everybody else is below. I got to go with Arizona today, Dubsy.
Arizona. Nice little price there as well. Still listed as a pick. I'm taking on the Rays, one of the hottest teams in baseball. So let's see if the Diamondbacks can deal up another big performance for your Friday afternoon. Let's keep it in the American League. We're taking it out east here. We've got a great spot. The Boston Red Sox, you highlighted, been big on the baseball they've been playing of late. They're going into Baltimore to take on the Orioles there at Camden Yards. It looks to be Baltimore as your favorites here. Getting bet down minus 215. So you've got to pay a bit of juice for this one with that total sitting at 8.5. We saw last night the Orioles getting the chocolates there over the Red Sox 5-1. And then you get star ace Corbin Burns out there on the slab. 12-4 win and loss for his campaign this year with a 2.71 ERA. So very impressive. Does it all look to be about the Orioles for this one, Donnie?
Dubs, I love both of these lineups, but I don't love both of these pitchers, and that's the key. You brought it up. It's Corbin Burns' day in Baltimore. He has been sensational after getting moved from the Milwaukee Brewers over to the Baltimore Orioles. Look at his season. 600 batters he's faced. ISO power numbers, we use those statistics a lot. 165 or lower is where you want to be for a pitcher. He's at a 121. Weighted on base percentage, Dubsy, for a pitcher. 325, 320, you want to be below that. He's at a 270 on the season. His last 30 days, through 127 batters he's faced, a 114 ISO and a weighted on base percentage of 267. I told you, it's a very good lineup here for the Boston Red Sox. A lot of lefties that have had some success over right-handed pitchers over the past 30 days, but it's not your average right-handed pitcher. It's Corbin Burns, maybe one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball when it's all said and done this season. If we flip it over, Cooper Criswell looked like he's going to take the mound. He actually has decent statistics. However, he has a low K percentage, which Dubsy, gets you in trouble. If you're striking batters out, that means you can't even get base hits and or productive outs. We'll see if that ball gets in play because, quite frankly, like we talk about the Arizona Diamondbacks, this team looks tremendous against right-handed pitching. There is a reason why they're favored by that much. Might be a great parlay piece because I look for the Orioles winning once again against the Boston Red Sox today, Dubs.
There it is. Corbin Burns has had 4 or more Ks in his last 5 starts. Then they've also got the result off the back of his starting pitching. All right, let's take it across to Houston. The Astros are playing host to the Chicago White Sox. Donnie, you can probably see my background. Someone asked me, am I a big Chicago White Sox fan? I've got the helmet there on the setup. No, it's the only helmet I could find. They're 11-49 going on the road here. The Astros are booked as your short price favorites with the total sitting at 8. Is it all about Houston? Arrighetti gets the start with a 5.14 ERA, so far from impressive.
Yeah, can we actually get some runs here for the White Sox? Maybe they can participate. Here's the interesting part, Dubs, and I'll make it quick. Crochet is the best analytical pitcher on the card today, but his numbers on the field don't add up. His last 68 batters, a 344 ISO, and a 456 weighted on base percentage against. More wins for Houston is what that tells me.
We are back at it here on the early line. I'm Dubs Anderson alongside Donnie Rightside, and we get you set for a fantastic afternoon out there on the Diamonds. 14 games in play for Major League Baseball, and let's turn it to Milwaukee. The Brewers, they're playing host to the Guardians. It's expected to be a very close one here. The Brewers have been strong playing in their ballpark, 35-24 for the season here. Very close to being a pick-em. Gavin Williams gets the nod there for the Guardians, and Aaron Savali gets the start there for the Brewers with a 3-8 win loss. A couple of ERAs here, Donnie, close to what I'm paying for my Starbucks cold brew. Could we see a couple of runs?
Yeah, we might be able to see a couple runs. And also, you take a look at that price point here at the FanDuel Sportsbook on the game. It's basically a coin flip here. If we're looking at Aaron Savali, not one of my favorite pitchers here, Dubsy. Last 60 days, he has an xFIP minus of a 115 and an ERA that's approaching 5. Also, if you're looking at him struggling, he's an equal opportunity struggler right now, which means lefty and righty batters getting the best of him. 87 batters he's faced, Dubs, over the past 30 days, an ISO power number of 256 and a weighted on base percentage of 390. If I'm looking from a Guardians perspective, they haven't been all that great at the plate, particularly over the past month against right-handed pitchers. But there's 2 guys in that lineup that need to be on your cards for RBI opportunities. That's Jose Ramirez and it's Josh Naylor. Both of those guys, 78 at-bats and 65 at-bats against right-handed pitching, ISO power numbers respectively, 232 and 250, also with high weighted on-base percentages. So for me, instead of saying, you know what, I don't know who's going to win this game, I do expect Ramirez and Naylor to do some damage at the plate. You take one of those 2 guys down here, Dubs, with an RBI prop, it's plus money. You move on to the next game. That's how I approach this one.
It is that simple. Don't overthink it. That's the Guardians taking on the Brewers. A lot of close games expected here if you're going off the odds board at the FD Sportsbook. Let's take it to Pittsburgh. The Pirates taking on the Mariners. Seattle coming into town. They get Logan Gilbert out there on the hill, and it's the one and only Paul Skeens. What a scintillating year he's putting together, the rookie, but has failed to get the result in the last 4. So what do we make of this matchup? Is it all about the Pirates off the back of the star ace Paul Skeens?
I'm telling you, you need a stopper right now for Pittsburgh. The sky is falling out there. Losing double-digit games, it's insanity. But Skeens should be able to pick up the victory. Why? You just saw the Mariners yesterday go a full 9 innings and get 1 hit yesterday. Good luck going up against Paul Skeens today, even if the Mariners actually project very well against right-handed pitching over the past 30 days. But that's average right-handed pitching. That's not Paul Skeens. And also, is this a last-ditch effort, Dubsy, that we take a look at Skeens with a chance to win the Cy Young as he's also falling in that race? I expect a big-time performance. But also, how comfortable are you in this game? 2 good pitchers out here, 2 lineups that are struggling, 2 teams that can't get out of their own way. Maybe just look at a strikeout prop from Paul Skeens in this one. I expect big things from him. And watch this, Dubs. We'll watch this game in the updates. Oh, look at that. The Mariners got 5 runs on the board against Paul Skeens in the 3rd inning. That's sometimes how crazy Major League Baseball is. But you see that 6.5. Who's getting the 7 runs here? My goodness.
Yeah, it could be a tough afternoon if you're looking for plenty of offense there. One of the lowest totals we'll see going in to the Friday afternoon slate. So that's the Mariners squaring off against the Pirates. A couple of phenoms out there on the hill. What about the Royals? Kansas City looking to rumble. Eyes towards October. They're going in to Cincinnati, the great American ballpark, to take on the Reds, who sit right around 500 for the year. And again, Donnie, it's booked as a very close game, 9.5. So a higher total coming in for this one. But the Royals, they're still trying to stay in the hunt for the American League. They're in the Central. What do we make?
I think we get runs, but from a Reds perspective here, Dubs, we take a look at the pitching matchup, and Nick Martinez might not be a household name, but my goodness, take a look at his last 30 days. 71 batters he's faced. That's an 0.74 ISO against and a 2.08 weighted on base percentage. If you want to take a look at some of those analytical looks, that xFIP minus number we talk about so much, 100 is the baseline. You want to be below that for a pitcher. He's at an 81, but how about this for those old school metrics that some people like? His last 60 days, Dubs, in ERA, 1.25. So be tough on the Royals today. But if we do look from a Cincinnati perspective, Michael Lorenzen on the mound for the Royals, not a great pitcher. High ISO power number against, high weighted on base percentages. Guys in the middle of that lineup, Dela Cruz, Stevenson, Friedel, and Steer, those guys should be on your roster tonight for some RBI action. So for me tonight, I do think the Reds handle their business. Team total might be in effect for them, and also some RBI props in the middle of that lineup. And Ellie Dela Cruz, who hasn't treated me very kindly this year, Dubs, and bets, I think he finally comes through for me tonight if I should choose to bet him. How about that?
Bobby Witt Jr. back in the mix as well in search for 25th dinger for the season. Donnie, that's going to do it for me. It's been an absolute blast going through the Friday card. A quick update on the golf side. Sammy Burns, who we started the show at 35-1, now 12-1, co-leader out there at the FedEx St. Jude. That's the kind of Friday it's going to be, Donnie.
Absolutely. And by the way, get used to Dubsy. Football season all the way through. He will be a part of us, and we are so happy to have him. Joe Leach is up next. Dubsy, enjoy the rest of your day, buddy.